On that hot summer day in Phoenix, veteran Dustin Rodriguez had just gone to do some shopping, but his K9 dog Atlas's reaction to that parked car would be the beginning of events that would save the life of a kidnapped 6-year-old girl and bring down the city's biggest crime network in a breathtaking chase within minutes. Atlas suddenly stopped. His fur bristled, and in that war bark began the sound that froze Dustin's blood, meaning danger present. But what was the danger, and who was inside that car in the darkest corner of the parking lot? Phoenix, Arizona, 44 degrees Celsius. The asphalt was melting. Veteran Dustin Rodriguez entered the empty parking lot in his wheelchair. Beside him, his 85-kilogram giant German Shepherd Atlas, black and tan, a war machine with muscles visible in every step. Together they had completed 47 dangerous operations, until an IED explosion changed everything. Dustin lost his legs. Atlas was wounded. But even in that wounded state, Atlas had protected his owner for 6 hours. He hadn't allowed any enemy to approach. Now they were retired. But Atlas's instincts, sharper, more dangerous. And that day, those instincts would activate again. Only a few cars were in the parking lot. In this hellish heat, no one wanted to go outside. As Dustin was checking his shopping list, Atlas suddenly tensed. First, he pricked up his ears. Then he raised his nose to the air and began taking deep breaths. Then came that sound, the alert bark that Dustin knew would freeze his blood. In war, this meant bomb present, enemy near, or danger. Atlas, what's wrong? Dustin went on alert. His dog's sound never lied. Atlas was pointing to the darkest corner of the parking lot. Behind a large truck, parked in the shadows, was a dark gray sedan. The car's windows were covered with black film. The license plate was covered with mud. There were crack marks on the windshield. Dear God! Dustin felt his heart start to race. As an experienced war veteran, he could tell something was wrong with this vehicle. Atlas began to get more agitated. The dog moved in front of Dustin, using his body as a shield, and began pulling toward the car. But with careful, cautious steps, when they got within 50 meters, Dustin noticed very faint sounds were coming from inside the car, knocking sounds, as if someone was asking for help. Damn! Dustin quickly pulled out his cell phone. But then Atlas went crazy. The dog suddenly broke free from Dustin's control and began running toward the car. Atlas! Stop! Dustin shouted. But it was too late. When Atlas reached the car, he began clawing at the rear window, and then Dustin saw the heart-stopping scene. In the back seat, hands and feet bound, with a cloth in her mouth, was a 6-7-year-old little girl. Her eyes were filled with fear, looking at them as if asking for help. 911 emergency services. Kidnapped child at Westgate Shopping Center. Emergency! Dustin shouted while Atlas barked like crazy. Stay calm, sir. Can you give me details? Dark gray sedan, tied up little girl in the back seat. Kidnapping case. Just then, 2 black SUVs with roaring engines rushed into the parking lot entrance. The vehicles were coming straight toward them. Atlas! Here! Dustin shouted. The dog immediately came to Dustin's side and took an attack position. His 85-kilogram body muscles tensed. He showed his teeth, his eyes blazed with fire. The SUVs stopped. 3 burly men got out of the first vehicle. 2 more from the second. They all had guns on their belts. Get away from there, old man, the lead man shouted. This doesn't concern you. Release the child. Dustin pulled a hammer from the emergency bag beside his wheelchair. Last warning. Get lost with your dog or we'll kill both of you. Atlas turned into a devil at that moment. The dog moved in front of Dustin, creating a protective wall. His growl was so savage that even the men hesitated for a moment. Atlas, ready. Dustin went into combat mode. At that moment, one of the kidnappers drew his gun. Atlas made a sudden move to jump in front of Dustin, but Dustin was faster. He smashed the sedan's rear window with the hammer. With the sound of breaking glass, chaos began. Atlas jumped quickly onto the first man. His 85-kilogram powerful body knocked the man to the ground. The dog's jaw locked onto the man's wrist. The man dropped the gun he was holding. "Ah, the dog got me," the man shouted in shock. Atlas's grip was tight but professional. He had police dog training. The second man ran toward Dustin with a knife in his hand. "Stay away," he shouted. But Dustin was an experienced veteran. With a skillful maneuver of his wheelchair, he hit the man's legs. The man lost his balance and fell to the ground. The knife slipped from his hand and rolled away. "You think you're going to stop us too, cripple?" the man shouted angrily. "I'm not crippled. I'm a veteran," Dustin replied with a determined voice. Meanwhile, the third man was trying to reach for the gun on the ground, but Atlas noticed this. The dog immediately sprang into action, caught the man's hand, and moved him away from the gun. "This damn dog sees everything," the man screamed. The fourth man was preparing to attack Dustin with an iron bar in his hand. He raised the bar and made a move to attack. Dustin pulled his wheelchair back at the last moment, avoiding the attack. The iron bar cut through the air. "You can't escape," the man prepared for a second move. The fifth man tried to attack Atlas with a club in his hand. "I'll handle the dog," he shouted. Atlas had combat training. He waited for the man's club and just as he was about to hit, jumped to the side. The club hit the ground and Atlas immediately grabbed the man's arm. "This dog is going to tear me apart." The man groaned in pain. The sixth man got out of the SUV to intervene in this chaos. He had an electric shock device in his hand. "I'll stop all of you," he threatened. At that moment, the first man was trying to get away from Atlas, covered in sweat. "Too strong. This dog is too strong." When Dustin saw the situation getting out of control, he pulled out his powerful flashlight from his emergency bag. He directed the 3,000 lumen bright light at the man with the iron bar. "My eyes! I'm blind!" The man staggered and dropped the iron bar. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Dustin turned the flashlight toward the face of the man with the electric shock device. The man also staggered and backed away. "Nobody move." Atlas then made a second attack. He left the man with the club and jumped on the man with the electric shock device. The electric shock device fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Atlas had grabbed the man's shoulder. "This dog is a devil." The man was struggling but couldn't get away from Atlas. The second man reached for his knife that had fallen to the ground. "I'm going to stab the dog," he shouted. When Dustin noticed this, he pulled out an alarm whistle from his emergency bag and began blowing it frantically. The sound was very loud, deafening everyone's ears. "What the hell is that sound?" The man with the knife put his hands to his ears. Hearing the whistle sound, Atlas became even more motivated. The dog left the man with the electric shock device and jumped on the man with the knife. "No, don't come here." The man tried to run, but Atlas was faster. Atlas's jaw locked onto the man's wrist. The knife fell to the ground. Meanwhile, the man with the iron bar was rubbing his eyes. "My eyes are getting better. Now I'll get my revenge." The man picked up the iron bar from the ground and began walking toward Dustin. "You knocked me down. Now we'll settle the score." The man waved the bar threateningly. Dustin tried to back away in his wheelchair in panic, but the wall was nearby. He didn't have much room to maneuver. "Atlas, help!" Dustin shouted. Atlas was dealing with 3 men at the same time, but heard Dustin's voice. The dog immediately decided protecting his owner was the most important duty. Atlas left the man with the knife and ran toward the man with the iron bar. This time he was really angry. The dog's eyes were blazing with fire. "No, stop!" The man tried to back away in fear, but Atlas caught him. The bar spun through the air and flew away. Atlas knocked the man to the ground. Meanwhile, the man with the club was trying to recover. "The dog left me. Now's my chance," he thought. The man picked up the club from the ground and prepared to attack Atlas from behind. "Atlas, watch your back," Dustin warned. Atlas turned at the last moment and saw the man with the club too. With incredible reflexes, The dog caught the man's club and clenched it with his jaw. "Let go of my club." The man tried to pull, but Atlas was stronger. The club broke apart in Atlas's mouth. The dog spat out the pieces and attacked the man. "I surrender. I surrender." The man lay down on the ground. In this chaos, the first man, the one with the gun, was slowly trying to reach for the gun. While everyone was busy with other things, he wanted to seize the opportunity. A little more. A little more. The man was trying to touch the gun with his fingertips. Dustin noticed this. Atlas first man. Gun. Atlas immediately turned. The man who got the gun was trying to aim, putting his finger on the trigger. "Now I'm going to finish all of you." The man pointed the gun at Dustin. Atlas made an incredible jump at that critical second. While in the air, he caught the man's hand, and the gun fired into the air. Bang! The sound echoed in the parking lot. The bullet went into the air. Dustin breathed a sigh of relief. Atlas had made the man drop the gun from his hand. Now he was controlling him too. "This dog is impossible. He beat us single-handed." The man with the electric shock device shouted desperately. At that moment, siren sounds began coming from the distance. First distant, then increasingly approaching sounds. "Police are coming," someone shouted. "We got caught because of this dog." Another shouted angrily. Atlas was now controlling all 6 men. The dog was tired but proud, wagging his tail slightly and looking at Dustin. "Incredible work, Atlas." Dustin praised his dog while continuing to untie Lucy's ropes. "Atlas is so brave," Lucy spoke through tears. "He saved me." Police cars flooded into the parking lot. 15 vehicles, nearly 40 officers, special security team. It was like a professional operation. "Police, raise your hands visibly. Lie down," the commander shouted through a megaphone. The kidnappers surrendered at that moment. All 6 men were either sitting on the ground or being gently controlled by Atlas. Atlas had prevented them from moving without seriously injuring any of them. "Atlas, come here. Atlas, good job," Dustin called his dog with praise. The dog left the men and came to Dustin's side. He looked a bit tired but proud. He began wagging his tail. Detective Sarah Martinez ran over and assessed the situation. "He controlled 6 people single-handedly. This dog is incredible." Police teams gently handcuffed the kidnappers. Police teams checked everyone. A veterinarian was called for Atlas. "Atlas just looks tired," said the veterinarian. "In excellent condition. A real professional." Lucy was still standing next to Dustin. "They said they would take me away from my family. I was so scared." "You're safe now, Lucy." Dustin gently held the girl's shoulder. "Nobody can hurt you while Atlas and I are here." The paramedics checked Lucy. She only had fatigue and mild dehydration. No other problems. "Her parents are on the way," said an officer. "They've been searching non-stop for 2 days." "Who are these kidnappers?" Dustin asked curiously. "A local child kidnapping group," said Detective Martinez. "The FBI had been tracking them for months, but couldn't catch them. You 2 succeeded." 15 minutes later, Lucy's mother Jennifer and father Robert got out of a car that arrived quickly. Jennifer came running, her eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Oh, Lucy, my beautiful girl." Lucy ran from Dustin's side and hugged her mother. The family reunion was such a touching moment that all the police officers and security team watched this beautiful moment. "I thought I had lost my daughter," Jennifer spoke while crying with happiness. "I didn't sleep for 2 nights. We searched non-stop too," said Robert. "Police searching everywhere, FBI conducting operations, but you found her." But the real shocking part of the story was about to begin. While the police were searching the kidnappers' vehicles, Atlas suddenly began giving alerts again. The dog ran toward one of the SUVs and started barking. "What is Atlas doing?" Dustin wondered. The dog was clawing at the SUV's trunk. When the police opened the trunk, they were horrified. There were 2 more children inside. An 8-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl were lying tied up. My God, there are other children too. Detective Martinez was shocked. Atlas hadn't just saved Lucy. He found two more missing children in the vehicles. Three families reunited that day. That evening, the news headlines read, "Veteran and K9 dog saved three children." At home, Dustin stroked Atlas's head. "You're a real hero, buddy." Atlas wagged his tail. Maybe they'd lost the war zone, but they'd found a new mission. Before you go, have you ever witnessed an animal sensing danger before humans did? Share your story in the comments. Do you believe dogs can sense evil we can't see? Let us know. If this story touched your heart, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we'll meet again in another real hero story.